All right, so from section 5.4, Math 9, this is a page of puzzle questions for adding and subtracting. So this is not just like your textbook that says add these polynomials. Boom. And follow all the rules, done, move on. It requires a little bit of thinking. So when they say puzzles, it's like, okay, so what am I asked to find? What's involved with this? Sometimes there's other things, like for example, you got to know what perimeter is. Okay, so in math, when I teach you all these skills of adding and subtracting polynomials, it's for a reason that, and these reasons are usually bigger than the skills themselves, right? So you can be able to solve problems that a piece of that solution would be those skills. So this is kind of a stepping back, this is a bit of a bigger picture. So if you can do stuff like this, and this is what you want to train your brain for high school math, is to say, okay, I'm going to get questions that I've never seen before in the practice. I've never seen before in class. I need to use all the skills that I've learned, and I need to put them together in maybe just a little bit of a different way to solve a problem. Because it's not going to be, class, this is a question exactly that I gave you 2 days ago. Now I want you to do it on your own for your test. It's not always going to be like that. You'll get a lot of questions you've seen before, but there'll be some questions where you'll need to show your understanding, okay, and be able to put it together, to use your brain to put it together in slightly different ways. So let's take a look at one. I'll do most of these with you, so you get to learn how to recognize these kind of problems, okay? So number one says this. I'll maybe zoom in just a bit for you there. So number one says, write a simplified expression for the perimeter of the triangle. Okay, so a simplified expression, that is the same word, that's the same as a polynomial where all like terms have been gathered together as much as possible. That's a simplified expression. A polynomial where all the like terms have been gathered together. For the perimeter of the triangle, perimeter is the other thing that you should know. Does anyone know what a perimeter is right now? Can just shout it out. What's a perimeter? Go ahead and shout it out. Anybody know? The distance around an object. Very good. So we add up all of the lengths of the outside sides, or the distances around the outside. Perfect. You add them all up. Okay, so I've got expressions, I've got polynomials here. I've got 3 polynomials, and it looks like, because I'm wanting perimeter, it looks like I'm going to have to add the polynomials. Does that make sense? There you go. Adding polynomials. We just studied how to do that. So now you've put that together. You know what a simplified expression is. You know what perimeter is. You're pulling all these pieces in. Oh, I need to add those polynomials. No problem. So let's do that. So I'm going to take any one at random. I'll start on the left. 4x plus 7. Now, because we're adding, we don't have to do anything fancy, but I will put the brackets around so it looks just like what we've been dealing with. 5x plus 3 plus 3x plus 2. Okay. So now this looks very similar to what we've been doing. Lots of times we've only added 2 polynomials, I understand. But when you add 3 things, it's all the same rules as just adding 2 things, isn't it? So the rules say that we should drop the brackets, and because we're adding everything, we don't have to change any signs, right? We don't have to add opposites because we're subtracting. So I'm just going to erase the brackets because we don't need them here. All right. And you don't have to rewrite the whole thing if you want to erase them or whatever, but you can rewrite this real quick. When you rewrite it, you might want to gather all the like terms together, which I will do. Let's take some time to do that. So I've got a 4x, I've got a plus 5x, I've got a plus 3x, so I'll put those all together right here. And then I'll add all the constants, so that's plus 7, plus 3, plus 2. So those are the 2 types of terms I have. I have x terms and I have constant terms. Everyone with me so far? Thumbs up? Okay. I'm writing too big. I'm running out of room, but I will go over here now. Okay. Make a little arrow pointing where I'm going to go next. And if you run out of room, a little arrow showing me where your work picks up would help a lot. And I'm seeing that some of you aren't doing that. So if you could do that, if you run out of room, you don't have to erase everything and do it all over again smaller. Just put a little arrow saying, hey, I'm actually going to have to continue over here, or I'm just a little bit, this is, so help me follow your thinking. Okay, do you have a hand up or no? Okay, so 4x plus 5x plus 3x, how many x's do I have in total when I add up all those? Yeah, 4 and 5 is 9 and 3 is 12. Okay, good, I have 12x, so I'm going to put 12x over here. That's that all gathered together. And then 7 plus 3 plus 2 is plus 12. Yeah, plus regular old 12 ones or whatever. Okay, so does that look like it makes sense? I think so. I think so. Everybody agree with that? So I'm going to circle my answer then, and that's my simplified expression. Okay. Now, for those of you that are you know, thinking, well, should I factor this? If you don't know what factor is, don't worry about it. This is fine, but you don't have to factor this to simplify it. Okay. So some of you math geniuses might be thinking, oh, we should factor a 12 out of there because it's a common factor. We don't have to worry about that quite yet. This is fine. You don't worry about factoring to simplify. That's going to come later if any of you are wondering. Probably most of you are not wondering about that. But anyways, this is the right answer right here. Okay. Okay. Now, if x is equal to 4, what is the actual perimeter of the triangle? Hint, use the simplified expression. So, I don't know if we've seen a question exactly like this yet, but if you have an expression, and that is just a statement or a description, a mathematical description of what the perimeter looks like, if you know what the unknown x is, then you can find the real perimeter. Well, now we know. So guess what? I'm just going to fill in 4 wherever I see x in my simplified expression. So this is going to be 12 times 4 is 48 plus 12 is going to be equal to 60. Good. So the perimeter is 60. Now there's no units here, so I guess you don't have to write units. Just 60 is fine. Okay. I mean, units, if you just put a U there, I understand that that's units, but you don't really have to do that. So 60 is just fine if there's no units shown. Okay, that's question number 1. Any questions about that? All right, know how to do that. Perimeter, simplified expression, you know what that means. Add everything up. Awesome. Okay, let's go to number 2. So here's where we get into some tricky wording. Okay, number 2 is a bit tricky. Please don't subtract. Don't just look at this and say, oh, okay, I need to subtract all these. I'll just go a plus b minus 2 and minus 1. Read through the question carefully, okay? And it may be a little tricky, but you can do it. So it says subtract the sum. Okay, who knows what a sum is? Does anyone know what a sum means? Yeah? The answer to an additional problem. I love it. So it's the answer when you add. That's what a sum is. Very good. So subtract the sum. That seems opposite, but what we're doing is we're subtracting the sum, what we get when we add these two things together. So these are going to be grouped together. I'm going to add them together. And I'm going to subtract this from 4a minus b. So if you take something away from something else, okay, you start with that something else, and then you subtract whatever you want from it. So if I'm going to do this, the way this says, I'm going to start with 4a minus b, and I'm going to subtract the sum of these two. So it's like this plus this. So a plus b, and if you want to use secondary brackets in there, you certainly can, but it's adding, so we don't actually need to add the brackets because we're just going to take them away anyways. So if you're adding, you don't need to add a second set of brackets. So I've got 4a minus b, and I'm subtracting from that the addition of these two things, or the sum of these two things. Any questions about that right now? Do you guys understand that up to this point? Okay. Now, do you guys remember from last semester or from classes before? Do you remember BEDMAS? Remember BEDMAS? Okay. So that's order of operations. When we have a whole list of mathematical operations, we have to do some things before others. There's a proper order for that. And so BEDMAS says that I need to do things inside the B brackets first. So that's brackets, which means that if there's anything inside the brackets that I can simplify, I need to do that. So here, I have some like terms that are not combined yet. So inside these, the second set of brackets here, I need to do these up first. That's probably the best way to go. Nothing can be simplified in this bracket, so let's work on these. So 4a minus b minus, so I've got actually a plus 2a is 3a, and b minus b, oh, what's b minus b? 0. So you can write 0 or you can just leave it blank there. I'm fine either way. All right. So we did the inside the brackets. Awesome. Now I need to drop brackets, and when I subtract, I need to change it to adding, and I need to add the opposite. That's what we learned yesterday. So I'm going to go 4a minus b, drop those brackets. I'm going to change this to adding, and I'm going to add the opposite of what I see in here. That's going to be a negative 3a. And you don't have to worry about the 0. Okay. Now this looks a little funny, so we shouldn't probably write this like this, right? This is the part that's a little confusing. So if I'm adding a negative, that's just the same as subtracting, okay? So once again, I'm going to use my little arrow, continue over here. This actually is 4a minus b minus 3a. Just so we're all on the same page. Don't really ever leave two signs right beside each other like that. And you're going to see, you're going to understand that, hey, when I have subtract a positive, that's just the same as minusing, as subtracting there, see? So in the future, when you drop these brackets and add the opposite, you're not going to have to probably do this step. You're probably not going to have to do this step. But I'm just following all the rules until you get really comfortable with it. I'm following all the rules and showing every step, okay? So this makes sense in your brain. All right. So I'm keeping on. Any like terms here? Yeah, the a terms are the same. So what should this expression be when I simplify this, when I'm all done? This should be 1a, or just a, minus b. Okay? Does everyone like that? You agree with that? Okay, so this question is done correctly, but we didn't write the question down properly, so you'll have to make sure you double check that too. So here we go. This is going to be 4b. If you noticed that before this point, good job. This will be 4a minus 4b. That's what the question says. So that's going to change a couple things here, and then that means this is going to have to change. So this is why you go back and check your work, isn't it? Okay, and sometimes you'll have to erase everything. So if this is you, this is good exercise. If this is you and you go back and you check, that's why you double check, you say, oh, I didn't write the question down right. That happens a lot. So then you're going to have to change what you wrote, and you might have to erase some things, and yes, it'll take you an extra few seconds, but that's okay. That's all right. So b minus 4b then, so we've got a plus b, okay, this one does not change. Yeah, this one does not change, just the front one changes. So we've got a plus 2a is 3a. This is still all the same. Okay, so this is the same, but we have to change this part. Okay. 4a minus 4b minus 3a. There we go. So now this is the part that has to change. So that's 4a, sorry, that's 1a when we simplify that, minus 4b. Okay, how's that now? Does that match the question? Good? All right. All right. See, I don't mind making mistakes because it's good for you guys that you're paying attention, and we get to fix things. And guess what? You're going to be making lots of mistakes too, so you got to know how to deal with it. So always go back and look at the question, double check real quickly that you wrote everything down right, that you didn't miss any signs, and then make sure your answer is circled, all your work is shown. If you have to kind of go to a different spot in the paper, draw a little arrow so that your work can be followed. Okay, excellent. We got a few more to do, so let's do a few more here. Number 3, write a monomial that describes the perimeter. Okay, so we have perimeter again, so we have to add up all the outside lengths, but we aren't given all the outside lengths, we're just given some weird notation here. So does anyone know, can anyone tell me what these little tick marks, the little double strokes mean, or the single strokes? What do those mean? Like, for example, what is this and this? What does that mean? What do you know from that?
The lengths are the same.
Okay, good. So the length of this side that the double tick is on here, and the length of this side that the double tick is on, those are going to be the exact same length. Very good. So anything with a common little marking like that is going to be the same. So this is going to be the same as this too, isn't it? Those are going to be the same length as well. Okay, well I have 4x on this side, and then how can I tell what this side is right here and this side? We know that those two are the same, so what's the length of each of them? Yeah? Yeah, exactly. Very good. So you take the 4x and you just divide it in half equally because they're both the same. So if you have two things that are like that makes them halves. So this is going to be 2x, and this is going to be 2x. So remember, there's 4 x's in total, so if you cut that in half, you've got 2 x's and 2 x's, right? Okay. Okay, that's great. And then what about this single tick side here? Like, what about those ones? We've got 2 x's here. So each of these then are 1x. X and x. Awesome. All right, so I'll just condense that a little bit. That's awesome. So the perimeter, P, I'll say P for perimeter. And I'll write each side out separately, just to show all my reasoning. I've got 2x on the far side. I've got 4x on the top. I've got an x over here. I've got a 2x. I've got an x here. I've got another 2x. So we should have 2x plus 2x and 4x plus 4x. That's what we should end up having. So the perimeter, how many x's in total do I have here? 2 plus 4 is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So did you say 12x? Did we say that? Are we good with that? Does that look right? Okay, I like it too. I like it too. So the perimeter is 12x units. There's your monomial for the perimeter. Now we'll go back and double check our work. You can even double check a different way. Like I say, 2x times 2 should be 4x, and 4x times 2 should be 8x. So if I add those, do I get the same number? Yeah, I sure do. So if you can think of answering it a different way and you still get the same answer, that means you probably got your answer correct. All right. Okay, number 4. Number 4. Ooh, getting tricky now. Getting tricky. So find the missing side of this triangle given the perimeter. Given the perimeter. So this is going to involve some subtraction. If you want to think about this as addition in your head, I suppose you could. What you have to do is you have to do this plus this equals this right here. Or you could take the total perimeter right here and subtract this thing and this thing. So that's the subtraction that I'm thinking about. And then that'll equal your unknown side. So if you take the total and you subtract the 2 sides, you should equal the third side. The total minus the 2 sides should equal the third side. I think that's probably the easiest, and that's very similar to the very first question that we did, right? So let's try that. So I'm going to go 5x plus 3y minus 2. That's what I'm going to start with. That's the perimeter. I'm going to subtract from that 2x plus 4y minus 3. And I'm also going to subtract from that the other side. So you could write it like this with 2 separate subtractions. Or you could subtract the sum of these like we did in the first question. So here's just a little different way of thinking about it. I take the perimeter, I subtract the one side, then I subtract the other side. And that's going to equal my unknown side, right? That's going to equal the unknown side. So I just need to simplify this polynomial on the right. I'm zoomed in quite a bit. That's why my pen is so thick. Okay, I'll go to blue here. Okay, so the unknown side is going to be equal 5x plus 3y minus 2. And I'm going to drop the brackets. I want to get rid of the brackets and deal with the negative signs, right? So I'm going to add the opposites here. So I don't know, sometimes students like doing this. Just change that minus to a plus and then change all these signs in here if they can, right? Sometimes that's a good idea too. So if you want to do it like that, you certainly can. Change that to a plus and then change all these signs in this inside. Because that's what it means to add the opposite. So you can add the opposite here as well. So change all the signs. Positive goes to negative, negative goes to positive. It might be a bit messy, and if you can't see all those signs or it's tough to see, then I would suggest you rewrite it. I don't want you to be lazy, but I also don't want you to waste too much time either. So this might help you. Okay, so let's go from here and let's write down the simplified here sum. So now I'm going to add a negative 2x. So I'm just going to write that as minus 2x. Everybody see that? And then I'm going to add a negative 4y or just minus 4y. and add a positive 3 or just plus 3. I'm going to then add x, then I'm going to subtract 7y, and subtract 4. So at this point, you can just change all the signs in the subtraction. And no, you do not change the signs at the first one, okay? You don't touch that one. The one you're subtracting from, you don't touch. It's just the other ones, okay? All right, any questions about this so far? A little different way of looking at it, but I think that might help a lot of you, simplify things for you. So the unknown side here is going to be, now I'm going to gather all like terms. So if you want to do it like this too, you can. You don't have to rewrite it by gathering them together. You could maybe circle or underline or somehow highlight all of the like terms. And then is there another x? So there's another x here. Any more x's I missed? So x, x, and x. Okay, so 5x minus 2x is 3x plus 1x is 4x. So I get 4x. Do you guys get 4x? You guys okay with that? 5 minus 2 is 3 plus 1. All right, let's take a look at the y's now. So I'm gonna put triangles around the y terms. That's plus 3 minus 4y minus 7y. Okay, so 3 minus 4 is negative 1 minus 7 would be negative 8. So I get negative 8y. You guys get that too? You okay with that? All right, and then finally, I'll just underline the constants. So negative 2 plus 3 minus 4. That's going to be negative 2 plus 3 is 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So it looks like the unknown side here is 4x minus 8y minus 3. Now, of course, you should check your work and make sure you did everything right. But again, if you can get the same answer another way, or if you can check your work somehow, how might I check to see if this answer is the real answer, guys? What's a way you could check this question? Yes, let's take this that we just got and add it to the other two sides and see if we get the answer in the question, or the original question. I like it. Okay, so some kind of check like that is a very good thing for you guys to start doing. So I'm going to show the check right here. So it's going to be 4x, so I'm going to go quick, minus 8y minus 3, plus, I'm adding so I don't need really to write my brackets, plus 2x plus 4y minus 3, plus a negative x, so that's the same as just subtracting x, plus 7y plus 4. So here I'm adding all three sides together. Yep. Sorry, negative here? Negative x? Are you talking about this one right here? That's a negative, yeah, if I just put a minus x, that's the same as negative 1x. Is that what you mean? Okay, okay, everything's okay so far here. We dealt with some other stuff there, but we're good so far. So we're going to check this by adding all these together. So let's see, x is 4x plus 2x minus x. That's 6. Minus 1 is 5x. And negative 8y plus 4y, that's negative 4y plus 7 would be plus 3y. And then negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6 plus 4 is minus 2. So that is the same polynomial that we had in the original question. Okay, so that's another way to check. And of course, you got to be careful that you don't circle too many things. And I've circled a lot of things in my work, but this is certainly my answer. So please highlight your answer in the question. And then that way, the teacher, whoever's marking your exam will know what your final answer is. So this is your answer right here. Okay, we got 2 more left, guys. 2 more left here in this paper. So you guys are doing great. Find the length of P. Length of PQ. Wait, what? Oh. Okay, formatting issue. Okay, so find the length of PQ. This is the diagram, I guess, that goes with 5, right? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's just put that there. Okay, so find the length of PQ. Oh, here's a number line. This is interesting. So on the number line, I have this distance from P to R is this thing right here. That's an expression for the entire distance there. I need to find this piece of that distance, and I know that this piece is this one. So is this an addition or a subtraction statement, do you think? How should we find out what the little question mark is? Anybody have an idea how we might attack this one?
Take the top one and subtract the bottom one from it.
Okay, so if I take the top one and subtract the bottom one from it, I should get what's left over. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. That's exactly right. So we'll take the total minus part of it, and I'll get what's left over. Take the total, subtract part of the total to get what's left over. Got it? That's perfect. So let's go x squared plus 7x minus 3, and I will subtract x squared plus 2x minus 5. I'm going to go fast on this one. I'm not going to be pausing and stopping and teaching, explaining as much this one. So here's what you'd want to do. You do x squared plus 7x minus x squared minus 2x plus 5. Notice I just switched all the signs of everything in here and treated it like I was adding them. Okay? X squared minus x squared is 0x squared. You do not have to write this 0x squared down. You can just leave it blank. It's 0. It's nothing. So no x squareds to write down. 7x minus 2x is 5x. Those are gone. And negative 3 plus 5 is plus 2. So I get 5x plus 2 as an answer here for a little question mark. Let's check that. So the check would be, I'm going to add this one plus this one, and it should equal this one. Add the two smaller ones to get the larger one. So let's check. 5x plus 2 plus x squared plus 2x minus 5. Do I need to put brackets around here if I'm adding? No, you're just going to drop them anyways. So if you're adding, you don't have to put brackets around your polynomial. If you're subtracting, you should make sure that you put brackets around there and then flip all the signs, make sure that you get everything right. I'm going to write this in descending order. Remember what descending order is? That's where the exponent on the variable, the highest exponent term, is written first. So I'm going to go x squared. That's gone. And I've got 5x plus 2x is plus 7x. And then I've got 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Does this match with my original length here? It sure does. So my check is correct. This is my final answer for the missing piece. How do we feel about that? Will you guys be able to do all those questions on your own, you think? No, I got a big fat no right away. Okay. Well, hopefully now that you've been through it, you'll have a better shot at it if you had to do those by yourself. Okay. Hint, hint, you might want to make sure you look over these just in case you have questions like this on some kind of quiz or something. Who knows? All right. All right. So back to 5.4 homework assignment, which is right here. Please spend the rest of the class that you have finishing this up and making sure all your notes are caught up. If you have any questions, please come talk to me.